Okay, so Xenocrisis. Here are my notes for Xenocrisis. There's not that many because this game is pretty straightforward. It's just a very difficult top-down bullet hell kind of game. Not very bullet hellish. It gets more bullet hellish in the later levels, around level 4 or 5, but I would say that's a good description of the game for now. So let me go through my notes real quick. I lost the game in about 15 minutes, so that was my first playthrough. So yeah, this game is very unforgiving. It is a very classic arcade style game where you have 3 lives and that's all you get to beat the whole game. You have the option to collect these dog tags that fall on the floor every time you kill enemies. It's not every time you kill an enemy, it's just sporadic. It could be anyone at random. But you collect these dog tags, and at the end of each level, I think they're called areas actually. So at the end of each area, you're getting these dog tags and you're saving them up because you can upgrade your soldier. You can upgrade his total ammunition that he carries, you can upgrade his speed, you can upgrade his grenade ammunition, and what else? Oh, his firepower and your total health, and also other upgrades like a gas mask, because this one's very situational, but there are enemies that shoot these, I guess, like these organic plant bombs, and then if they hit you on impact, it's gonna damage you no matter what. But once it lands on the floor and explodes and you walk over it, it's going to damage you still because it's gas, poisonous gas. So if you buy this gas mask, it'll prevent you from losing a life. So yeah, and the last important one, you get to buy an extra life. So my strategy going into this game, after playing it multiple times, and which I still haven't beaten yet, my strategy going in was to immediately go for the 2 firepower upgrades. You can only upgrade it twice before it gets maxed out, but I really feel like that's the important strategy. At least personally, that's the one that I feel works the best for me, because my logic is, if your gun is strong enough to kill them faster, then that means you have an option of clearing out the area faster, and you have less people shooting at you and less chance of dying. So that's my logic behind that. I immediately go for firepower, then I would go for life points. After firepower, I've been switching it up, but typically I go for life points, because at this moment, with my experience in the game, I started playing it fairly recently, but after about maybe 4 or 5 deaths, first of all, I bumped down the difficulty. I'm just gonna say it flat out. It has 2 difficulties, hard and easy, and I immediately went to easy as soon as I found out that you could, because I just want to see the end of this game. And I don't think it changes very much, to be honest. I haven't noticed that big of a difference with the common enemies in the rooms on each level, but I noticed a much bigger difference with the bosses. So with the bosses, I noticed that they shoot less projectiles. There's less projectiles on the screen at once, and I think they get damage a little bit easier, and that might be true for the common enemies as well, but I haven't really noticed that. I might have to switch back to hard difficulty and compare it real quick. But anyways, yeah, it's on easy mode. I don't think I'm gonna be finishing it on hard until I beat it on easy, and then possibly, if I feel confident enough, go back and bump up the difficulty again for a second playthrough. But yeah, so I buy the lives upgrades so I can survive a little bit longer in each room, because I don't have the confidence that I'm gonna survive without it yet. I think you start off with 4 hit points, or 4 hearts. You can see on screen that your hit points is like a literal heart pixelated drawing. So you start off with 4, and if you upgrade all the way, you can have up to 7 or 8, I think, and that's a lot more lenient with how much risk you can take and with your mistakes that you're going to be making. So also, yeah, the second boss was extremely easy with the heavy machine gun, with the Gatling gun, and usually he would shoot out way more thorns than that out of his tail, but when it's on easy, it's just the 4 thorns. But oh, let me talk about some of the guns. So you start off with the regular assault rifle, and you get 150 shots to begin with, and that sounds like a lot, but that goes pretty quick. And you pretty much have unlimited ammo. They're never going to leave you without ammo in this game. As soon as you're running low, an ammo box spawns somewhere randomly in the room. But the reason that you're going to want to upgrade your ammo all the way to the max is to not have to pick up that box so often, because an important part of this game to stay alive is to have smart positioning. And if you have a lot more ammo in one round, then you won't have to move to this specific spot or this random spot as often. And sometimes it could be pretty easy to get. It could spawn right next to you and you just have to nudge over. Or it could spawn across the room and you have to dodge bullets all the way to the other side and possibly lose a hit point or 2, which has happened to me. So that's priority number 3 after I level up my health. But I usually flip-flop back and forth. The firepower is always number 1, I always max it out. Hit points and ammunition, it depends. Sometimes I go for the balanced approach and try to level up both, or I go for just health, or I go for just ammunition. It depends how I'm feeling before my run. But that's another thing, going back to how difficult this game is. It's very arcade style in that you have 3 lives, and that's all you get to beat the whole game. That's all you get. But that's where I was getting to before when I brought up the end screen of each level. So these dog tags, you get to purchase those upgrades, right? The last upgrade you get, you can purchase another life, another try. So you start off with 3, but if you purchase another one, that's your extra try right there, and it's always available. As far as I know, it's always available to you as long as you get 30 dog tags, which isn't very easy to get. You have to be very mindful where they are on the map because they can also clear out. They can start fading away, and you can miss it. So it's not a guarantee that you're gonna have 30 at the end of each room. So it's a tricky balance of whether or not to upgrade or to buy an extra life. Once you start getting better at this game, which I'm trying to work my way up to, I feel like the strategy is to upgrade all of your stuff without having to buy the extra life, and then I would assume around level 4 or 5, if you're feeling good and you still have a lot of lives remaining, or possibly, yeah, you haven't lost any and you still have 3, I say you spend the rest of your dog tags on lives and you're secure. You're just gonna have a solid run. And yeah, because without that, if you lose all 3 lives, you're done. The whole game is over. You have to start from the very beginning every single time. So theoretically and on paper, this game could be very, very short. I think it's only 7 levels. I was looking at the achievement list, and I think there's only 7 levels according to that list. Could be 8. I probably missed one. But yeah, each level takes, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, depending how you play. Maybe less. My playthroughs have been about 30 minutes or less, but I've been dying on the 5th level. That's as far as I've gotten. And I'm gonna keep trying. My first playthrough, well, again, my very first playthrough, I lost in the first 15 minutes. I didn't know what to expect at first, but after some more practice, I've been able to survive up to 30 minutes. I think that's been my farthest so far. But overall, I think it could be like an hour or less completion for this game, which is pretty nice. But the longevity comes from the repeat sessions, because I haven't beaten the game. I have to come back to it. My first couple attempts, it was getting familiar with the guns, getting familiar with the controls and the strategies. So the guns, you only start off with the assault rifle, and you can't buy any guns or upgrade them. Well, you can upgrade your main gun, but you can't upgrade to anything different, or you can't buy different guns. You can only pick up some gun power-ups on the map, and when you do pick one up, it's on a time limit, so it has unlimited ammo, but just for the amount of time that displays on top of it is usually about 20 seconds. And this is pretty fun because you just go all out. Don't hold back for that time period. It's great when you pick one up and it's timed well with a boss, because you can just completely unload on the boss, switch to your main assault rifle, and you're probably halfway there, probably even defeated the boss by then, depending on the gun. But there is a good variety of guns. There's laser guns. The laser gun is really good. There's a rocket launcher that's also really powerful. It shakes the screen a lot, so I wish it didn't. It really shows how powerful it is, but that's the only nitpick. I do pick it up, I do use it the whole time, because it is extremely useful, even with that screen shake, and it can be slightly disorientating, but that's fine. The reason I'm bringing up that I still pick it up and use it is because there's one gun in particular that as soon as I pick it up, I drop immediately, and that's the BFG. So it's this gun that you charge up, and it's this big ball of energy, and it shoots through all the enemies on screen. It can't penetrate walls, but it'll penetrate every single enemy in that line of sight. So it's really powerful, and I think it really does cut through every single enemy from the time that I've used it. But I don't like how long it takes to charge up. I don't think it's a very useful gun in this kind of game that's fast-paced, and you have to be quick on your feet. You're going to be doing a lot of dodging, rolling, and there's even upgrades so that you can upgrade your soldier speed. So with a gun like this, you have to charge up. I just can't use. I don't think it's worth the time for how strong it is. So as soon as I get it, I drop it. I just can't deal with it. It's been a detriment, but there's other guns. There's the flamethrower, which I think is good. You just have to be a little bit closer, but it's fine. There's this gun that I forgot the name of, but it tracks your enemies. It's slightly weaker. I think it's still very useful, but it follows your enemy exactly who you're aiming at. It's gonna curve and swerve, and wherever you're positioned, it's just gonna redirect to the nearest enemy, which is extremely useful because this game, it shoots in 8 strict angles. So it shoots orthogonally and diagonally, and not in between. So you don't have a full 360 angle on your enemies. So that's an interesting part of the game too. So if you're trying to shoot someone and they're diagonal from you, you have to be perfectly diagonal from them. Not at a, like if you were looking at the face of a clock, you can't shoot someone at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. You can only shoot them, well, never mind, 1 o'clock. You can shoot them at between 1 and 2, but you can't shoot them at 1 or 2. I think I made that more complicated than it had to be, but yeah, it is very fixed angles. So you have to use both. I'm playing on Xbox, so you have to use both analog sticks to position yourself in the right place. What else? Oh yeah, the story. The story is very very minor. It's just enough to keep you, to keep the levels connected from one to the other, and it's all right. It's just about, I guess, this colony, the space colony. They hear a distress signal. They head over, and then they find that it's been invaded by aliens, and then they're able to capture one of the aliens and find their nest, their alien nest, and then I think you start finding that these aliens have been experimenting on humans. So there's like some human and alien DNA mixing, and that's as far as I got. But it is all for fun, just to give you new alien types, a new variety of settings and enemies, which is done a good job at. And yeah, I would say that's about it for now. I'm gonna go back and try to beat this game. It's very difficult. I'm also playing this around the time where Returnal has come out. I haven't played it, but I hear the talk around it is that it's very difficult, and people have been bringing up how it needs save points, and a lot of people haven't seen a lot of the game because there's a large portion of the player base that just hasn't made it that far past like biome 3 or even 2. And I think that's an interesting conversation, because even for games that aren't difficult, just straight story-based games, a lot of people don't finish it. A large majority of people don't get to the end. And now with achievements and trophies showing the percentage of the completion rate of the player base, you can tell how little that percentage is of the people who finish games. And I'm talking for easy games that you just need to follow the story. So for games like this, like Returnal is a roguelike. This is not a roguelike game. This is just arcade, and it's just about dodging bullets, reaching the end of the levels. But I'm comparing them because of their difficulty and how unforgiving they are, really. Because this is 3 lives and you're out. 3 lives and you're done. You have to start the game all over again. No save points. So Returnal is kind of similar, and you die and you reset from the beginning of the biome. Yeah, so imagine for a game like this that actually takes a bit more patience, a bit more time to get familiar with the game. There's a lot less people exploring all of the game and reaching the end. I want to be one of the people that reach the end. I checked for the Xbox side, the achievement of completing the game, and is 5.46% as the time of recording this. 5.46% of players beat the game. That's extremely low, and this is a percentage of people who bought and played the game. This isn't the percentage of people who own an Xbox or anything. This is just for people who've played the game. So that's very interesting to me. So yeah, this is my first initial thoughts on the game. I'm gonna come back and give it another go.